certain attractiveness about someone who knows who they are. There's a certain attractiveness that comes with someone who can authentically show up as themselves anytime. Like, hello, welcome back to another episode of Embracing Change. I'm your host, Nick, and to all my first time viewers, I hope you love it here. Please do hit that subscribe button and the notification so that you're aware of when I post a new episode or any type of content that I post on this channel. But yeah, lovely to have you here. I hope you love it here. Let's get into the episode. So today's episode is titled Glowing Through Growth. And what inspired me to have a chat about this with you guys was I was having a conversation with my best friend not so long ago. And we were talking about the changes that we have experienced or gone through, not only in our friendship, but in our own personal journeys, and how much we are different from how we were when we first met each other compared to now. And it made me think about the term glow up and what it has to do with personal growth and what it means in terms of character development, and in the grand scheme of things, what is a glow up and how does that factor into a lot of things, especially when it comes to the inner person, So I want to talk about it. I figured let's just have an episode about that, glowing through growth. What does it mean? What comes to mind when you think about that? And let's get into it. Let's start by unpacking the concept of glowing through growth. What does it mean to you, or what does it mean to me? For me, it's about embracing change as a catalyst for personal transformation, right? You know how a caterpillar emerges from its cocoon as a butterfly? Yeah. I feel like when it comes to glowing up, or when it comes to glowing through growth, it's about embracing those changes in life and those changes that happen within you, and making the most out of them in a sense, so that you can actually emerge as the best version of yourself. Just like a caterpillar becomes a butterfly. And I feel like most times when we hear the term glow up, we think about how it's an outward thing. Like when we think glow up, we think, okay, this person is attractive now. Maybe there was a phase in this person's life where this person felt like they were not really attractive physically, or maybe they were not drawing people in physically, and then you undergo some changes, you go through a bunch of changes, and then eventually you emerge, and it's okay, this person had a glow up because now they're physically attractive. And yes, that does play a part. The way you present yourself physically does play a part in how you've glowed up as an individual. But I feel like it needs to be deeper than that. I feel like it is deeper than that, because there's a lot that goes into you being able to show up as the best version of yourself. There's a lot that happens in the background. There's a lot that happens inwardly. And I feel like that's what glowing through growth is all about, because change is inevitable. This is my tagline. This is something I feel like if you've been listening to Embracing Change, or you've been watching these videos for a while now, you will recognize me saying this. Change is inevitable. It's always going to be there. You cannot avoid it. And sometimes it's daunting, it's scary, but I feel like that's where you find the most growth, being able to take life as it is, and being able to look inwardly and discover yourself through it all is what makes it worthwhile, what makes the glow up come. So I think glowing through growth is basically about being able to look inwardly, being able to sit with yourself, and being able to understand the sum of your parts, understand everything that makes up who you are, go in depth and look into it, and discover what really makes you tick as a person. Discover how you want to be perceived, what you want to put out there. I think that's what glowing through growth is all about. Well, that's what clicks in my head. And I feel like, as I mentioned before, about how when you talk about glow up, it's mostly about the physical aspect, where the way you look as well influences a lot about how you feel about yourself and how you present yourself to the world, or how you carry yourself in the world, rather. The way you look, the effort you make into how you are as an individual, there's a certain way you carry yourself when you know yourself, And I feel like on that topic, for me, what really got me to a point of feeling okay, I had a glow up, or feeling okay, now I understand the vibe I'm trying to give off, or I understand what I really like to look like, or how I want people to perceive me, was during the global pandemic, right? So during the global pandemic, I had a lot of time to really look into Nicole, to really look into Nick, and like really discover a lot about myself. And I feel like that was around the time where I started like experimenting a lot with how I want to dress, how I want to look, and it really got me to this point where I feel like I'm very comfortable with my style. And think about it, during that time, the pandemic time, things were a bit scary. There was a lot of change happening. Life was really different. Life really became different for everybody, and we just had to adjust just like that. And I feel like with that, because a lot of us were at home, we were not going to school. Yeah, I remember the time everybody was home, everybody was chilling. All you could really do really was look into yourself. You spent a lot of time with family, you spent a lot of time with yourself. And I feel like with that, I used a lot of time to actually try and see who I am, who I want to be, because what else could I do? I had to sit with myself and really like experiment and really like understand where I'm coming from, where I'm going, and how I want the whole picture to look. So as much as it was a very difficult time, it was also like a catalyst for a lot of changes in my life. So yeah, around that time is when I started like experimenting with clothes. I started figuring out how I want to look, and it was a bit scary in the beginning, because once you start to look different from people around you, it's not an easy adjustment to make, because you are perceived a certain way, and a lot of people don't really understand where you're coming from with this whole dressing up thing, with this whole style thing. And I remember for me, it was easier to do it at home because we were home at the time. I would try new things, I'd wear them at home. And then there came a point where I had to go out, and I had to like showcase what I've been working on, showcase what I've been doing, because there's no point in me going through all that work and me doing all of those things and then not putting it out there. So I had to build the confidence. I had to build the confidence of being able to be like, okay, you know what? This is me now. This is how I dress. This is how I look. And the comments were there. They were a bit uncomfortable, but I feel like when you know yourself and you trust that, okay, what I'm doing is making me happy more than anything else, it doesn't matter what other people have to say. And this really showcases the importance of resilience. I feel like as human beings, in order to survive in life, in order to survive whatever life throws at us, we need to be very resilient people. We need to build that muscle of resilience. Because the more you exercise it, the stronger it becomes. And let me tell you, you're going to get tested. Especially when you are standing firmly and being true to yourself, your resilience is going to be tested. And through that, it's going to grow. Because as I said, it's like a muscle. The more you exercise it, the stronger it becomes. I've learned that being resilient is not about being unbreakable. No, it's more about coming back stronger than you were before. And I feel like I talk about this because I know how it is to feel like people don't understand you, or people don't really get what you're doing, where you're coming from, where you're going, those whole picture views. I know how I know how that feels. And it can be a bit daunting, it can be very discouraging. But I feel like when you have a resilient spirit, or when you keep growing that muscle of resilience, things like that will never get you off, will never get you down. You also need to understand that in life, people don't really. I feel like we also need to understand that in life, sometimes things are not really personal. Like people can say things, people can judge, but it's not really from a point of hate. Sometimes it's from a point of projection, or sometimes it's from a point of just misunderstanding, because we are not all as open-minded as I feel like we should be as a society. So that those like comments, those judgments that you can receive from people, they can be overwhelming at times. They can be a lot to handle. But if you really know who you are, if you really like build that character within yourself, you can go through whatever and come out stronger than you were before. You can break, and you will break. But the whole thing is, don't stay in that place of being broken. The whole point of glowing through growth is you allow the growth to happen, you allow the changes to happen, and they will be uncomfortable. Trust, they will be uncomfortable. They will be uncomfortable because new things usually are uncomfortable. Things that we didn't plan for, things that we didn't prepare for, and things that we didn't like picture happening are usually uncomfortable. But the whole thing is it worth it to you? Is it worth the hassle? Is it worth the stares? Is it worth the questions? Is it worth the drama that it comes with? And if the answer is yes, and if you truly feel like this thing is really adding value to your life, or this thing is making you more content with who you are as an individual, then I feel like you should never allow whatever negative energy that would be around to actually bring you down. Because negative energy is something that is inescapable, unavoidable, it will always be there, and we just need to know how to navigate around it, or to not let it get to a point where it influences us or it impacts us to that point of bringing us down as people. And I think that's where the catch is. That's where you actually start to close an individual, because check it out, like without the darkness there wouldn't be light, right? Like we wouldn't really like appreciate light if darkness wasn't there. So those challenges, those adversities, those difficult times, those weird moments that you have with people, those weird interactions, they allow you to develop this glow within your spirit, this in this intangible quality to you as a person. I don't know. For me, I feel like maybe you can relate. You let me know in the comments though. There's a certain attractiveness about someone who knows who they are. There's a certain attractiveness that comes with someone who can authentically show up as themselves anytime. Like you know that whatever happens, even if you don't agree with this person, even if you would never do the things this person does, or you would never really live life the way this person does, there's something very, very, very attractive about someone who really knows themselves. Someone who always shows up as who they are authentically all the time. And I feel like that's like the dopest thing about life. That's the dopest thing about the human experience. That we don't even have to try hard. You don't have to try hard to be something. You don't have to mimic someone else. You just have to show up authentically as who you are. And people that vibe with your energy will vibe with your energy. And if they don't, then they don't. And that's okay, you know. That's really okay. You just have to be comfortable enough in the foundation that you set within yourself. When you had those moments to sit in and had that introspection to say, okay, what is going on here? Who am I? What am I trying to do? Where is this all leading? What does this all mean? And after you've had that introspection and you're making those decisions to say, okay, this is the direction I want to go on. This is who I'm trying to be. You stick with it, you know, you stick with it, you see it through, and you're open enough to understand that these changes, as much as they are new for you, they're new for the people around you as well. So they may not be taken in initially with open hands, but that doesn't matter because you understand why you're doing what you're doing. And I feel like that's the most beautiful thing. Resilience is so necessary in this human experience. We need to be resilient people, because without that, we will crumble at every challenge. I also feel like the things you consume, the things you consume and the things you spend time in also influence a lot about, also influence your growth and your glow, you know. From the music you listen to, the company you keep, the media you consume, the types of books you read, just anything that can influence how your mindset and how you view things in life has a big impact and can manifest through you in certain ways. So I think we also need to be very conscious of the type of things we consume and how they shape us and how they influence us. Also with the type of company we keep, the type of speech people have, how they speak and how they present themselves also has a lot to do with how you will end up showing up and presenting yourself. So if you surround yourself with people that are negative, if you surround yourself with people that are not really on the same wavelength as you, or really like pessimistic in nature, it will have an impact on you, you know. Or people that are not open-minded, people that are always like judgmental of certain things, it'll make you feel limited in your experience of what can you do, what can't you do, what can you experiment with, or what can't you. And I feel like that is very, very important to note, you know. As much as we may love people around us, we may love our friends, we need to understand and we need to really evaluate and look into how the relationships around us are influencing our growth as individuals, you know. Let's spend time with the right people. Let's spend time listening to the right music. Let's spend time reading the right books, watching the right things. Let's just spend our time doing things that are helpful to our journey of growth and self-discovery, because I feel like it's so important, especially in this phase that we are in. It's easy to get lost. It's easy to get carried away with a lot of things. The world is a scary place. The world is a very scary place, and when you don't have that anchor around you, when you don't have that anchor around you, when you don't have that good energy around you, it's easy to stray off, or it's easy to go in the wrong path, wrong direction, and you find yourself making decisions that you would never have made otherwise. And I feel like that can happen to anyone. So it's just important to be someone who's able to just have introspection, to be someone who's able to just look into themselves and really understand that, okay, how is this benefiting me? How is this going to go in the grand scheme of things? How is this going to elevate me as an individual? And if the answers are it's not, then it's okay. It's okay to move on. It's okay to look for something better. It's okay to do something better. I feel like also another thing that really hinders someone's ability to flow through growth is the inability to be alone. Sometimes you need those moments of being alone. You need to be able to be alone as a person, because when you cannot enjoy your own company, it's a red flag in itself. That means that there's something that you need to work on within yourself, because who else is going to love you as much as you love besides God? Besides God, for real, who else got you the way you're supposed to have yourself? No one. So if you're not able to spend time alone, if you're not able to spend time with yourself and really enjoy that alone time, then I feel like there is a problem, and you need to find what the problem is and work on that, because anything can be worked on. And also document yourself. I mean, whether it's writing down in a journal, or whether it's shooting videos or pictures, or there's so many ways to document yourself. And I feel like it's really helpful to look back as well 2 years ago. Like, for example, Google Photos has those, 2 years ago on this day, and you look at the picture and you're like, wow, okay, there was a change. This is me 2 years ago. Because without that, you wouldn't really be able to have that point of reference to be like, okay, you know what? There's an improvement here. It's easy to miss change. It's easy to miss that improvement because you never documented, you never wrote it down, you never shared your thoughts with anyone, you never put something out there. I feel like do it. Anyway, this is the end of another episode of Embracing Change. I hope you've enjoyed this conversation, this little chat we had, and I'm interested to hear your thoughts on everything I've said, or if you have anything to add on, please leave a comment down below. I'm really interested to hear what you have to say about it. I hope everybody has a great week. May we all be productive. May we all grow, glow, and stay shining. Until next time, guys. Bye.